Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Happy Tuesday, the 14th of October. We're halfway through October, and interesting month so far. We have longs, they're coming in hot, guys. The longs, they're coming in hot, and we're getting towards the lows. Um, I did say that if we did grind back towards the lows, I would be down, down to take a long, but seeing this come in, I think we might get a really nasty wick. So I'm just gonna kind of be patient here. Um, I just think sometimes you just have to be patient in this market. I would be tempted to long like 1095, 1085, and stuff like that. Um, but let's just see how it goes. Um, I don't want to be a bit too rash in this area. Also, you can also see this on the MDX charting tools. This is great indicator to be honest. You can see that after the daily cross was the big dump candle with a wick. If we start breaking some of these lows now, it's gonna be curtains really, to be honest. So yeah, big change. Long to short, retail traders and top traders pretty much the same. So 62%, 65.56%. So I think Adrian was talking about this not being accurate. I'm not sure if it's not accurate. I just think that maybe the top traders don't get it right all the time. But yeah, it seems like the top traders and retail are trading in tandem right now. So I would like to see a new CME report. That would be nice. So yeah, the one thing I don't have is CoinEgg. Let's look at some of the liquidations. So in the near term, very short, very close to us, we've got some liquidations at 116k, and we've got some liquidations right below us, well, right where we are pretty much at, 110.9, 110.8. Whoa, what's going on? Don't know why that just reloaded, but yeah, just underneath this this little hip that we did. And so yeah, that's the local stuff. We are licking some longs, but there are a lot of longs re-entering the market. So once that long to short ratio comes down a little bit, we might grind all the way down into the lows, like probably like 109, maybe 108. And then if we see the long to short ratio start to flip again, then we might start heading up for that liquidity above us. But yeah, until then, we're kind of in a little bit of a weird spot in the market. We've had a big move. We're kind of just waiting for the dust to settle. We've also got the Fed speaking today. I think Jerome's speaking today, and we've got some Fed officials tomorrow, and we've got some data on Thursday. So there's going to be no shortage of volatility this week. But yeah, if we grind down to the lows, I'm interested in long. I just want to see the long to short ratio flip a little bit more. Shorts starting to come in a little bit more, and maybe get like a high low on the hourly for me to long with conviction. But yeah, in terms of the order book's completely thin. There's not really anything in this, so it would be nice to go sideways to build this back. We are on the hourly node right now, and we are on the hourly level 2 hold as well. We actually haven't closed the candle below it yet. We closed just above it there, so it'd be interesting if we could potentially hold this, but like I said, the long short ratio is, there's heavy longs coming back in here, so I would not expect us to run these lows, and then potentially if we can get a regain and the short start to come in, then yeah, I'll look for more upside. But right now, it just looks a little bit, meh. Max Pain, 110.6 for the longs. We're very close to that, so keep that in mind. 110.6 in the local structure, 114 for the shorts. If we go to the weekly, for the shorts it'll be 116.3. For the longs, 110.6 again. So 110.6 is quite a high confluence area for long max pain, so I do think we could come and see that. Also, we've got 109.4. So that's what I was kind of talking about with the 109 level, 109.5 to 108.5, where there's overlapping support on the hourly time frame and the 4-hour time frame on Bitcoin. There's also a lot of liquidations there as well, so I'd be kind of looking for that area as a potential area too long potentially. So yeah, apart from that is it for the data. Just got to keep it cool, calm, and collected in this area. Like, let's not be rash. Let's just... My bottom Binance worked. Okay, nice. Yeah, we just got to be a bit chilled. Like, I'm not in a rush to... Because I'm pretty flat from Friday, of course. Like, you know, I'm not in a rush to, you know, make another decision, especially with all the volatility that there is going to be this week. Sometimes you kind of just have to let it. Yeah, you just have to let the snow settle a little bit, and then we'll see what happens towards, you know, if we get any triggers coming in. So, what I was talking about with the 105 to 109k level is sort of like this area. 1095, whoops. 1095 here to 1085 here is going to be an area of interest for me. Basically just below that low. If we can wick into that and then reclaim this on the 4 hour, yeah, I'm probably going to take a long. So that'll be, yeah, something like that. Something like that. But yeah, we do have some heavy support at 1085. I know this is held quite a lot and it might not hold the next time, but it just is a logical area to potentially get a long on, especially if the shorts do come back in. Now, I will say that we do have some hidden bull div on the 4 hour, which means continuation of the downtrend. And yeah, it just doesn't look great right now. We might set a new low, but if we do set a new low, like close a few new candles below here into the overlapping support, we're probably going to bull div on the 4 hour, and we're probably going to take a lot of that liquidation. So there would be a good argument to potentially ping back up after. But yeah, it's something that I'm just going to watch in the meantime. And ultimately, I am aiming for a test back up in between like 123 and 121 to reshort, because I've closed out all my short around like 112. So that's kind of me with Bitcoin. It's kind of just in that area where you're like, we're either going to hold the low here and you could potentially long with a tight stop. I wouldn't really recommend, just because of the amount of liquidations that below, or we're going to get the wick and then we're going to get the regain, and then you could potentially long all the way back up to the 786 where you'll be looking to short, or maybe even a little bit higher. I would be a bit cautious shorting when we do come back up, just because we do have the liquidations just above the high, so that could also be something that will happen. Very much like this time where we went over the A86 and we kind of like swing failed in this area from here. So watch out for that. But yeah, that's kind of what's happening with Bitcoin. I'm kind of taking it slow and very chilled. Yeah, so total one weekly. Weekly time frame looks fine. Actually looks pretty good. I've put this daily swing on as basically like and this low as break this low, and it's probably we're going into a bear market. We do want to see holds here on the crypto cap chart and come up and test the highs and basically pennant out of this so we can pump our way out. But yeah, we definitely want to see some holds of that low now that we just did on the daily. It is a lower low. So what do we have? We have a higher high and we have a lower low. What do we need for downtrending price action? We need a lower high. So in this area, I'm basically expecting this low to get swept and then a test of the highs. Just much like what I said on Bitcoin, where there's a lot of liquidations just below. I'm expecting that to get hit and then a regain and then a test of the highs. So yeah, we're in a bit of a weird spot. All in all, it doesn't look too bad on the higher time frame, but it also doesn't look great as well at the same time, with all those longs coming in and stuff. But yeah, let's go on to ETH. So ETH's in a pretty heavy downtrend. We was having a new low. This is the high, and I would potentially, obviously, we're going to come up and test the 886. Let me just have a look at some of these liquidations. Yeah, so this is going to be an area of interest for me on ETH, 4,650 to like 4,600. There is the potential to, again, to grind all the way up to like 4,850, where I might set like a couple like low leverage orders, but I think this is going to be an area of interest for me just around this 886 on ETH. Conversely, to the downside, we are getting quite close to taking this high leverage stuff, and we have regained this low back from the end of September. So again, quite similar. If we hold this low and kind of like take out this area, hold here, there's a potential long all the way back up to the studio pocket potential. But yeah, like with Bitcoin, we do have quite a lot of longs in the market, and we could do something like that and then, you know, just wick the lows to take it all out and then continue. So be aware of that. But this is a potential area to get a long on, just so you know. Even if the long to short ratio is heavily long, yeah. I do think we just got too much liquidations up at the top to not at least try and do something like that. So yeah, if we do get back down there, potentially going to be a long, even if it's like around 3,860-ish, just from the highs that we did there. And I'll actually put the hourly on. It's not really that easy to see on the hourly. Yeah. But ETH looks a little bit, you know, it looks a little bit worse for wear at the moment. So yeah. How about Sol? Yeah, let's have a look at Sol. But just last off on ETH, and I'll take off auto charting tools, and I'll actually take this off because it's easier to see. It does kind of look like we're swing failing the high, unfortunately. We've got a lot of volume back below us, and the weekly combination man is also just up above. So, you know, it does look like we're in a little bit of a downtrend. However, yeah, it's easy to hold like something about that wick or somewhere in here. Potentially we could do something like this, and then one wick, and then we regain and, you know, do the last one or something. So Sol is one that on the weekly time frame I sold a lot on the 786 because I was like, I'm very happy with the gain. What we do also have, which was telling me this, is we have the double wick into band on the 786 and the W reversal with some bearish diversion on the weekly, which is why I sold half of my bag. So on the weekly time frame, it looks a little bit tired. Now, it's not in a downtrend yet. We've just done some very, very local losing of level, but we do have the EMA combination right below us, like supporting us. We also have like some of these lows as well at like 160, you know, like 175, 180 and stuff like that. But if we go on the daily, what you'll find is that although we're bullishly diverging here, which is quite nice, by the way, we are making lower highs and lower lows. So this is definitely a downtrend on the daily time frame. To hold this, of course, we just want to hold pretty much where we are now and the yearly open. Let's actually just have a look at the liquidations here. So yeah, there's a few high leverage stuff below the yearly open, which could force just like a wick test of here. If we can regain that, so something like that, regain, then we might go up and test like the highs again. But all in all, it's looking a little bit neither here nor there. So like I said, if we run the lows again, I'm going to be interested in a long, back up to the highs. That's all I'm thinking on pretty much everything. So if we go back down to here, yeah, I feel like it's going to be sort of like this area for me. This little block is what I'm going to be interested in. Just where that high leverage stuff is, just below the yearly open, is what I'm interested in, potentially catching like a few wicks into this high leverage stuff, and then I want to see a regain. If not, you know, stop's going to be probably going to get stopped and go like fully into the lows, where depending on the long to short ratio, there's going to be another opportunity to potentially try again. But yeah, we might actually make a new low before we make a new high, just because of the amount of longs and stuff in the market at the moment. But yeah, eventually, I will say this, eventually we are going to run the highs. So if you're on low leverage or if you're in spot, I would just hold tight. So for example, the other 50% of my soul spot bag, I am keeping. I'm not selling it right here, even though we are doing lower lows, lower highs. I'm not selling it because I do think that the amount of liquidations in between like 230 and 260, I do think we will get that again. And I'll sell the rest if we, you know, if we come up here and we don't make a new high of 230, I'll potentially sell the rest just because we'll be in a heavy downtrend there. But other than that, I am expecting higher prices eventually at some point. We might get like a new low first and then rip the whole thing. That's also possible. But yeah, if you're in spot, just absolutely chill. There's no need to like panic or anything. Let's have a look at the 4-hour combination bands. Yeah, that's coming in all the way at the low at about 180. It's not extremely clear cut this week in terms of trading, and we obviously have a lot of data and a lot of volatility coming towards us. So yeah, I'd say only trade setups with tight invalidations. So for example, if I want to long the high leverage stuff here, my invalidation is probably going to be below that low. That's 5%. It's just a bit too rough, you know. Like, I'm not really interested in that. But yeah, I did say something about a BNB short in the chat, and yeah, I definitely got wicked out on this wick here, which is really annoying, and now it's failing. So these things happen. There was actually another chance to get this literally on this candle right here. So this wick retest was the perfect entry pretty much on the trade. I got in a little bit early. I got in around here and got wicked out, unfortunately. But if anyone was able to catch anything of the sort on this, it looks like a classic swing fail. Deviation of the high, stop everyone out, grab the liquidations, and then fail. Currently, we're coming back down to the mean, which is quite nice. I think this area potentially could see a little bit of a bounce in here. And yeah, we've just taken all the high leverage stuff in there as well. So potentially quite interesting, but nothing too really crazy. What is interesting is that the combination man comes in around that low. So potentially if we get back down into there might be a decent like long opportunity. But again, it's kind of like we're in a bit of a weird place in the market at the moment. So I won't be hastily taking anything this week unless it looks really, really good with a tight invalidation, because I just don't want to get wicked out, especially with the volatility. However, if I do see a good setup, I will take it regardless of what's happening, which is why I took this and unfortunately got wicked out for minus 2%. But it is what it is. Well, I think it was 4% with leverage, but yeah. Slurp, what is that? Me drinking my tea? By the way, can we play Battlefield? What are you on? Are you on PC? Might have to run some one night. I actually haven't really played that much at all, to be honest. at all. So hype is let's go on the hourly for this. Again, it's coming back into these lows. This is going to be potentially an interesting long if we do get down into this area. And the invalidation is really very clear. This has been tested. This has been tested. This has pretty much been tested. All we need to do is basically test this, which is 37.1. So all of the tests are done apart from basically kind of that. And you pretty much don't want to lose any of this low. You can like wick into this, but if you lose this, it's just going to be looking really bad. So this whole thing needs to hold, and it's all pretty much tested apart from like literally just this top one. So if we wick into it again, there's potential like long, but it's a little bit dangerous in this area just because you could wick about 3-4%, just like how BNB wicked, and then reverse. But yeah, it's potential for maybe a little 1x, maybe a little 2x if you're a bit jinky. I'm only 40 hours in. Oh yeah, you're a proper soldier. The red dot. So the red dot on the legacy. So you're on momentum. Yeah. Can you please tell me how to set them up in the Wave Master? Oh yeah. Adrian's done that. So yeah, it'll be trend change or reversals as well. Are like the little arrows. You don't get the same like red dots. In his video, use momentum. So it will be. Wait, what? Momentum? Yeah, momentum is a specific indicator, so it's right here. It's legacy momentum, this one. If you go here, legacy oscillator momentum, which is just the one of the old oscillators because I like the look of it. But I also have Waymaster down here at the bottom, so I can see cash flow and strength and trend. Did you get any bids on injective render injective? No, unfortunately not. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't have any bids in. Very, very sad. I'm just annoyed I'm not automated, to be honest. Yeah, it'll be momentum if you want to look for this, and then yeah, if you want a couple settings for this, it's like it's similar to this, but you can also put on. I quite like gradient as a color scheme. Which is quite nice. It's just very simple, and I think I also turned something off. I can't remember what it was though. Very, very simple oscillator. I did bots or market smash. Lol. I think he had bots on. I did market smash some Popcat at 12 cent though, and it was up like 30% within minutes. I also longed a bit of injective link like Sui, and then just took the profit when it was like 10% up because I was like, yeah, I just don't want to mess with this. And now I'm pretty flat at the moment, guys. Sometimes you just have to completely reset, you know. I had a lot of orders set that got absolutely obliterated. I had a lot of positions that got stopped out. It's all good. We'll go again, and yeah. Unfortunate that I'm not automated, so I can't catch more of the move, but it is what it is. I believe that you can automate now with Hyperliquid, so I might just make a new wallet completely for botting on Hyperliquid and yeah, load up some liquidity, jump in some of Eggle's streams, go through his academy section, and then yeah, set them up. Yeah, that's not normal. It's very, very lucky to catch that. Bro, do you know what's crazy about that, Adrian? $3 was where I bought spot at the end of 2022 or start of 2023. I was still at uni at that point. Yeah. And that's where I bought all my spot for the bull run. And I only sold 10 or, I can't remember, it was 10 or 20% at 40 something dollars. After it hit $50, I was like, I have to sell a bit. And yeah, I bought it all at $3 or like $4 or some shit. And I round tripped the whole thing, pretty much. Lol. So yeah, like I'm still in profit on my spot bag, but you know, only 3x. Have a spot as well. Yeah, so I'm just waiting for my. So basically, with spot, for example, let's like look at injective. This now looks pretty horrible, but there is a good chance that this does come at least back up to, you know, like 13, 12, where I potentially might sell a little bit, to be honest. There's just such heavy resistance in this area now. And yeah, let's go to the 12 hour and look at the liquidations. Yeah, it's just like if we start getting into that stuff, I just don't think we're gonna. I think we're probably gonna just maybe do something like that. Just like I can't even see those liquidations. Hold on. There we go. I mean, they're stacked pretty heavy, so I'm gonna just sell my spot all the way up into these liquidations. I don't think we're gonna get above like 18 to 20 now. I'm not really sure we'll go above that. I still do think we could hit 18 to 20 on injective, but yeah, it's looking a little bit worse for wear now. Have a look at the VIX. Yeah, let's have a look at the VIX. What's it doing? That's pumping, isn't it? Gosh. Yeah, dump this shit. However, on the plus side, when we see big spikes in the VIX like this, so here, here, after the dump, it usually is like a period of like cool off / pump. So, well, the last like 4 times it's happened, it's been like that. So. Yeah, that shit is pumping, guys. So yeah, I'm kind of just waiting for the dump to go. I'm not really too keen on shorting too much, like low down here. But if we go a bit lower, I'm gonna long a couple things potentially. Let's have a look at Sui. Sui again. Let's look at liquidations just because that's going to be the magnet. Yeah, we're getting into the high leverage stuff here. Maybe on the hourly. So another potential thing that could actually happen is just something like this, where we take this high leverage stuff and we just run the lows like that, and then we do something like that, and then that's also potential. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep an eye on it, and you know, it is what it is. These alts gonna fill the dump wicks, higher lows. I also agree. I feel like they might fill not the whole wick, but they'll probably fill the low, and then everyone will think it's over. Hopefully, we get shorts coming in at the low then, and then we'll run the high, like the high, and then potentially it might even be over because that's full on like end of bull market shenanigans. So yeah, like if we run the low, I will potentially look for some longs, but I'm gonna watch the long short ratio. I'm gonna obviously probably wait for Jerome to open his fat mouth, and all in all, I'm kind of just kind of just relaxing this week, man. Like, there's no real need to just be really rash and just jump straight back in and stuff like that. If I see something nice, I'll potentially take it. And I am potentially looking for longs on the lows, but you know, we just have to be a little bit patient here. And yeah, like for example, this 4 hour chart on Doge. First of all, this is gonna act like a magnet up here in between 2.7 and 2.9. Second of all, we are retesting this sort of like 4 hour structure here. That's on the 4 hour. And if I go to the hourly and do this, we do have a potential area for finding support, which is right where we are. So it is potential, but yeah, we just need to like wait for something a bit more concrete, like maybe clear that and then do that, and then I'll potentially like, you know, and try and catch something. Not sure about that. Best we can get is a lower low. I mean, we're either going to do a high low from the actual 4 hour close, or we're going to do a lower low and we're going to get a massive bullish divergence, and then we're still going to see like a bounce back. Either way, I do think once we run the lows, like for example on Doge, like if we run the lows down here, so for example we come all the way and do that and then regain, I still do think we get a big bounce. Even if we hold, like I still do think we get a bounce. So either way, I'm looking at this, I'm looking at potentially like we're going to get a bounce soonish. It just depends how far we're going to grind down and how many longs there are coming in here. If there's like a lot of longs coming in this area, probably going to do that and then maybe get a regain. But we just don't really know at this moment in time. Like I said, there is actually a potential long here on Doge, but it just looks like because of this hidden bull div that we want to do one more low, bullishly diverge on the 4 hour, clear out all this stuff here. Potentially people start shorting the bottom because they're like, oh no, it's over, bear market, and then we just do that. We run all the way up to here. So like all in all, I do think we're gonna like all this 4 hour stuff from Friday or Wednesday, Thursday, Friday that we did fell from is definitely gonna get retested at some point, like for sure. Like there's no way they're gonna leave all that stuff at the top and go into a bear market. So that's just what I will say, at least. That's something I can be like 99.9% sure of, is that they're going to run the highs before we go into a bear market. So yeah. And yeah, Taos were actually really good. So this is like this is why you have to have most of your money in spot. Like I leverage trade with maybe like 10 to 20% of my stack, and you know, I took some big burns on my leverage account. But overall, in the overall context of my portfolio, like I haven't like I've maybe lost a few percentage, which is obviously going to happen when I'm trading alts on leverage, when I'm trading high volatile assets, and something as crazy as that. So I'm not unscathed. Like I'm not unscathed, but at least I had a Bitcoin short, and at least I'm not trading with my whole fucking account. Like, so yeah, something like Tau, which I have a lot of spot on, and I accumulated a lot of spot in between like 320 and 300. I mean, like for ages. It was probably all the way back here, you know, in this area, and then a little bit more in this area. Is like I am in profit on this, so like if I made worse losses, I could just sell a bit of this here and profit and like replenish, but that's also not good trading. So yeah, something like that is still relatively doing quite well. And yeah, something like AVAX is also going to be potentially quite interesting. This has been tested, this low here, but Let's we got a new high from this previous one and potentially some liquidations there. Let's actually have a look at the 4 hour. Not too many, a few around the 886. Show master. Yeah, maybe that might actually be a good area to potentially long. But yeah, I'm just going to be a bit patient this week. I'm not in a rush to get wrecked again. Lol. No, I'm joking. I didn't get wrecked, but I did get wrecked on Doge and Sui, bro. If everyone keeps smashing the green bar, it'll get dicey. Yeah, it's just chop city, bro. It's chop city, guys. Like if you're scalping on the 5 minute with really tight invalidation, you can do that. That's what I did after the big dump. Like I'm not putting that much risk on the table, but there's decent reward if the scalp does work out. Other than that, like I'm just gonna get chopped out. Like I'm not trying to long here, even though it potentially would be a good long, and then for them to do that and then regain and that. Okay? Like if I see the price below here and it closes back above, then I will potentially long a little bit. But other than that, it's just like it's just too dicey right now, guys. I'm just gonna get faked out. I'm gonna get wicked out. I'm gonna get, you know, whatever. Jerome's gonna open his fat mouth and say, "The market's great. It's better than it's ever been." So, but yeah, I am like watching these lows. That's one thing that I will say. I am watching the lows. Even on like Link, we're getting into this high leverage stuff here. And if we like do start running these lows, we get down here, people like, oh no, it's actually bear market, sell everything, start shorting the bottom, and then yeah, run the highs. That's what I want to see. Other than that, it's just like we could continue the long purge. So for example, something like AVAX could continue taking all of this stuff down here below this low before we do that, which would be really nasty. But yeah, what, Litecoin's down at $92. Jesus. Look at that. Absolutely cleared, bro. Man, it's so nasty. It's absolutely brutal. But yeah, even that has a really good pocket just above here. It's like that is gonna get taken. Like it is gonna come and like retest the bottom of that. So something like this. If I just put like a blue line on the bottom of this, like at the very bare minimum, like this is gonna get tested. The very bare minimum, even if we're gonna go into a bear market, like. But again, this local price action just doesn't give you a lot of hope. Unless this 4 hour pings back up. So like we have this low here, which actually held on that previous 4 hour. Unless this 4 hour pings back up, like I'm just not that interested. And yeah, we are kind of in the potential long zone here. Oops. Yeah. So, you know, it's one of those ones, isn't it? It's just one of those ones. I would say that, you know, let's actually check. Do you know what? Let's actually check if we were to long it here, what the stop would be. Oh, you know what? See, something like this isn't too bad. Something like Litecoin is not too bad. Yes, you got the 4 hour close that looks a bit rough. If we just zoom in. But if you can close back above there, it will look good. Even if you close below, on the next 4 hour, if you close back above, it will look quite good. And also, the risk is actually quite minimal here to potentially hold. Let's just have a look at the 4 hour liquidations quickly. Yeah, like there's just no long or there's nothing in the book. You know what? I'm actually quite interested in this. Too late to look for shorts. I personally would stay away from that, man. Honestly, I would personally just stay away from that. Because even with longs, I'm a little bit like it's a little bit sketchy. I just want to check on Litecoin the long to shorts. PV Doge ADA hype link. Where's Litecoin? Litecoin. Yeah, there's 54% short on Litecoin at the moment, man. I'm interested in this though. This is something I'm interested in, and the reason why is that if you long it here, your stop can be like 2%. It could even be 1.5%. So if you're trading on like 2x, you're looking at like a 3% stop, which is very, very minimal risk for something which has a target of potentially, where are we? Like 20 to 25%. So it's very, very good risk to reward here actually for a Litecoin long. And obviously, there's a very easy invalidation. Like start closing below this 886, and it looks rough. Close a couple 4-hour candles below here, and it looks rough. You know. So apart from that, we could just like completely, wick the lows like that, and then do that. Also, that is potential. So I might even long this. Just a little bit. Not like a full, maybe like a half position size here. Wait for a ping up, and then get the rest in. And then, yeah, it's actually potentially quite good. Not financial advice, of course, but yeah, this is something that doesn't look too bad. Definitely watch this next 4-hour close. We've got a little while for it to go. We've got actually only an hour and 13 minutes, so this needs to ping up quite soon. Or potentially close above on the next one, because sometimes they do close below on the 4-hour and then regain quickly. But yeah, this also, yeah, it doesn't look that bad. What do you think of Litecoin, boys? Bitcoin getting closer to 109.6. Don't want to close below there. Yeah. But if we do make a lower low on Bitcoin, like, we're going to bullishly diverge, and I think people are going to think that it's going to be over. Like, people are going to think it's over if we start, like, crashing through here, and they're probably going to short all the way down there. And then the amount of short liquidity that's going to be here, and then all the way up here, it's just going to be ridiculous. So yeah, that's why I'm just a little bit cautious on longing, just because yeah, it just everyone's just longing, and it just looks rough at the moment. But then again, we've got no more longs to take really. All the shorts are up here. So yeah, I might long some Litecoin and then just absolutely chill. Good, let them long. My shorts are happy. Yeah. Your shorts are gonna get hunted though. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that everyone that's shorted up here is going to get hunted. So like my short was from 123.5. I've taken that profit. I'm out of that trade just because, the risk to reward for us to come back into here, like, I just think it's going to happen. And then we've taken all the liquidity down here. So if we fill this wick, I potentially would prefer to long, Then I'll reshort exactly. I want to pick a position, let them come to my entry, please. Exactly. And then, yeah, if we swing for again from like 125 all the way up to 128, it's just, yeah, it's just going to be that area. But yeah, let me stop my recording and we can just chill for a sec.